Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Yes, Waalaikumsalam.
Is that Imran?
Yeah, I'm Imran.
Okay, Imran, how are you? Okay, I'm finally here. So tell me when you're ready, and everyone is ready, then we can start.
For that, I will start with the introduction, and I will give you the stage.
Yeah.
So can we start now?
Yeah. How's the audio? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's clear.
It's clear. Thank you.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished chairperson, lecturers, presenters, and participants. Welcome to the parallel session in the International Conference on Media and Communication, or MENTION 2021. My name is Imran Muhammad Yusuf, and I will be the MC for today. I will be assisted by Shaki for this parallel session. This is session B11 with the theme Media Content. The chairperson for this session is Mr. Badrul Rizwan Abu Hassan, a senior lecturer of School of Media and Communication Studies, Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Today we have 5 paper presenters. Each presenter is given 10 to 15 minutes of presentation time. If any of the presenters could not give a live presentation due to internet problems, we will play back their video, but we hope that the presenter is available for Q&A session later. Without further ado, over to you, Mr. Badra.
Thank you, Mr. Imran. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to fellow presenters in this session B11 on the theme of media content. Without further ado, I invite the first paper from Dr. Hasrul Hashim and Dr. Muhammad Azul Muhammad Saleh from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. And the paper's title is Analisis Strategi Komunikasi Penerbitan Pesanan Khidmat Awam Pandemic COVID-19. All the best. Over to Dr. Hasrul and Dr. Azul.
Thank you, Mr. Badrul. So I'm using a video presentation for this session.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Nama saya Hasrul bin Hashim. Saya adalah pensyarah daripada Pusat Kajian Media dan Komunikasi, dan pada hari ini saya akan membentangkan satu kertas kerja yang bertajuk Analisis Strategi Komunikasi Penerbitan PKA Pandemik COVID-19. Dan kertas kajian ini juga dihasilkan bersama dengan rakan kumpulan pendidikan saya, iaitu Dr. Muhammad Azul Muhammad Saleh, dan kami daripada Pusat Kajian Media dan Komunikasi Fakulti Sains Sosial dan Kemanusiaan UKM. Baik, dari segi pengenalan pula, sebagaimana kita ketahui, aspek komunikasi ketika pandemik merupakan satu aspek yang sangat penting, terutama apabila negara sedang berhadapan dengan situasi yang untuk pertama kalinya kita semua hadapi. So, aspek komunikasi ini banyak digunakan, terutamanya sekali dalam aspek kempen yang digunakan melalui media untuk mendidik masyarakat, terutamanya berkaitan dengan isu-isu yang berkaitan dengan kesihatan. Dan salah satu bentuk komunikasi yang sering digunakan ketika pandemik berlaku adalah melalui komunikasi penerbitan pesanan khidmat awam ataupun PKA. Jadi apakah sebenarnya dimaksudkan sebagai PKA? Pesanan khidmat awam merupakan satu medium penyampaian maklumat yang mempunyai ciri yang sama dengan medium periklanan, tetapi mempunyai sedikit perbezaan dari aspek tujuan dan juga pembujukan. Pembujukan pesanan khidmat awam lebih kepada untuk membujuk masyarakat untuk melakukan perubahan gaya hidup. So itu antara perbezaannya. Dari segi durasi pula, PKA yang dihasilkan selalunya tidak melebihi 60 saat. Cabarannya sebenarnya lebih mencabar, kerana walaupun dengan durasi yang sikit, kita perlu memasukkan semua elemen mesej yang diperlukan untuk mempengaruhi khalayak untuk melakukan perubahan hidup. Okay? Dan kebiasaannya pula, PKA ini dihasilkan oleh agensi kerajaan ataupun organisasi yang tidak bermotifkan keuntungan. Dari segi situasi di Malaysia pula, sebenarnya pesanan khidmat awam ni kalau dibandingkan dengan cabang-cabang penerbitan media yang lain, sebagai contohnya, periklanan, drama, filem dan juga lain-lain, sebenarnya kita tidak ada satu garis panduan khusus tentang bagaimana untuk menghasilkan PKA. Dan dari aspek keuntungan pula, sebenarnya PKA ini bukanlah satu cabang yang sebenarnya lebih memberikan keuntungan kepada syarikat-syarikat produksi media. Dan kerana itulah PKA ini sebenarnya lebih bersifat produksi dalaman ataupun in-house production, seperti yang saya nyatakan seperti tadi melalui televisyen dan juga stesen-stesen rasmi kerajaan, stesen TV swasta, stesen radio, Finas dan juga KKM. Dari segi kajian-kajian lepas pula, saya melihat kajian ini antara yang terkini yang sedang saya lihat dari segi Leatherman yang mengatakan bahawa kebanyakan PKA yang dihasilkan sekarang ataupun situasi yang kita lihat, saya kurang pasti sama ada di Malaysia ataupun luar negara sebab saya jarang lagi melakukan perbandingan, tetapi situasi di Malaysia saya sendiri personally merasakan agak kurang menarik dan sedikit membosankan, dan ini selari dengan literature ini lah. Kerana dia menekankan aspek pengajaran yang diterapkan bagus, tetapi dari aspek yang sama, kreativiti untuk pembujukan itu sedikit kurang. So ini yang dikatakan sebagai tadi kurang ada garis panduan yang khusus. Di samping itu juga kebanyakannya sekarang dari aspek platform penyediaan PKA ini, dia sangat terhad, kalau situasi di Malaysia sangat terhad kepada PKA yang dihasilkan di stesen radio, stesen televisyen. Tetapi sebenarnya dengan ledakan teknologi media yang ada sekarang pada ketika ini, sebenarnya PKA ini sebenarnya boleh dihasilkan merentas platform, dan dia tidak hanya tertumpu kepada platform tradisional, tetapi sekarang sudah boleh beralih kepada platform yang digital, social media, YouTube dan juga sebagainya. Dari aspek model yang digunakan dalam menganalisis kajian ini, so kami menganalisis, kejap lagi saya akan ceritakan dari aspek ini, tapi ini model yang digunakan untuk menganalisis pesanan khidmat awam. Di dalam kajian ini kami menggunakan model trans-theoretical perubahan tingkah laku yang diperkenalkan oleh Proska pada tahun 1994, di mana dalam teori ini berpendapat bahawa terdapat 5 tahap untuk khalayak bergerak daripada satu tahap ke tahap yang lain apabila mereka dipersembahkan dengan proses spesifik terhadap jenis maklumat yang dipersembahkan melalui sesuatu mesej. So dalam kes ini dia merujuk kepada pesanan khidmat awam. Dan ini antara 5 peringkat-peringkat yang untuk apabila ada mesej dan mereka akan bergerak. Tapi kita tak melihat tentang aspek perubahan khalayak untuk berubah. Tetapi kita melihat dalam setiap peringkat-peringkat ini, apakah mesej yang seharusnya disampaikan oleh mereka yang menghasilkan PKA untuk membujuk khalayak dan untuk memastikan bahawa khalayak dapat menerima mesej tersebut. Sebagai contohnya di peringkat pertama, peringkat penetapan awal, di mana pada peringkat ini khalayak masih lagi belum mengetahui masalah yang wujud, dan jika sekiranya PSA dihasilkan, mesej yang disampaikan perlu menarik dan mudah difahami kerana kita nak meng-capture diorang punya attention untuk mari berubah dan sebagainya. Dalam COVID-19 kita tahu semua orang pada mulanya merasakan bahawa ini masalah yang berlaku di China, tapi kita tak merasakan bahawa ini akan menjadi pandemik global kan. So PKA yang diterapkan pada peringkat awal ini mesejnya perlu menarik dan mudah difahami. Peringkat kedua adalah peringkat pertimbangan, di mana apabila ada PKA, khalayak sudah mula sedar ada masalah yang wujud dan mereka perlu memberikan perhatian. Dan pada ketika ini juga akan wujud konflik sama ada mereka nak mempercayai aspek perubahan yang cuba dibawa dalam mesej tersebut ataupun tidak. Jadi pembujukan mesej yang diperlukan pada peringkat ini sebenarnya lebih meyakinkan, perlu lebih meyakinkan, terutama sekali perlu melibatkan aspek psikologi dan juga emosi. Peringkat ketiga adalah peringkat persediaan, di mana pada waktu ini mereka sudah mula percaya dan mereka akan memberikan kerjasama untuk melakukan perubahan, dan mesej yang disampaikan pada peringkat ini perlu lebih dipermudahkan difahami. Keempat, tindakan. Apabila mereka dah merasakan masalah telah wujud dan mereka perlu bertindak, mesej pula pada ketika ini sudah boleh terfokus kepada khalayak-khalayak tertentu. Sebab daripada awal tadi kita cuba dah capture attention semua audience, dan pada peringkat ini kita dah boleh spesifik kepada siapa yang kita nak sampaikan segala bentuk mesej perubahan, terutama sekali dalam aspek COVID-19 ni lah. Dan yang terakhir sekali adalah peringkat pengekalan, di mana mereka perlu diingatkan untuk meneruskan amalan yang baharu, dan juga mesej-mesej yang diberikan pada ketika ini adalah mesej yang perlu mengingatkan mereka untuk terus melakukan perubahan. Jadi ini adalah dia punya kaedah kajian yang digunakan dalam kajian ini. Masih lagi di peringkat awal, di peringkat pertama kami melakukan analisis kandungan, di mana sebanyak 30 pesanan khidmat awam yang dimuat naik di YouTube My Health Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia yang diambil daripada bulan Januari 2020 hingga Jun 2020. So kita ambil pada 6 bulan pertama ketika mula-mula negara menghadapi pandemik COVID-19. So daripada situ kita melihat bagaimanakah bentuk-bentuk mesej yang digunakan daripada awal sehingga sekarang. Dan untuk pembentangan pada hari ini memang terhenti untuk setakat 6 bulan saja, dan kajian ini masih lagi diteruskan. Unit-unit analisis yang kami gunakan terbagi kepada dua, iaitu unit analisis asas yang melihat kepada durasi, jumlah penontonan dan juga jenis bahasa yang digunakan, dan juga dari aspek mesej ataupun topik yang dipersembahkan di dalam setiap PSA tersebut, di mana dia boleh melihat kepada teknik ataupun jenis sama ada pakai suara nyata, animasi ataupun infografik, autoriti, dan juga aspek psikologi emosi yang digunakan di dalam PSA tersebut. Jadi ini adalah hasil kajian untuk melihat analisis asasnya sebanyak 30. Kita boleh lihat di sini daripada bulan Januari hingga bulan Jun. Bulan Januari negara masih lagi baru menerima tentang pandemik dan sebagainya, tetapi kalau tak salah saya pada bulan Februari dan Mac tu adalah peak hours. Dan kalau kita boleh lihat di sini dari segi durasinya pula, dia sedikit tercapah apabila ada PKA yang dihasilkan melalui durasi tinggi. Kat sini kita boleh nampak 5 minit pada bulan Mac dihasilkan. So dalam 5 minit ni terlalu banyak info yang diberikan, so it's a bit macam tidak sesuai dengan peranan PSA untuk memberi pembujukan kepada audience. Okay? Dari aspek durasi terendah, betul dia menggunakan 30 saat. So ni nampak macam logik lah di sini, tapi dari segi durasi ni kita nampak di antara dia macam lebih daripada 1 minit dari segi durasi yang banyak dihasilkan PKA dalam My Health ni, KKM. Penontonan tertinggi yang dicatatkan, yang ni diambil berdasarkan pada 31 Januari 2021. Sebenarnya penontonan tertinggi ni sekadar dilihat dari aspek YouTube saja, tapi sebenarnya PKA yang dihasilkan ini juga ditayangkan di stesen televisyen. So that's why kita cakap tadi kita tidak melihat kepada aspek penerimaan khalayak, tapi kita lihat bagaimana dari aspek dia punya ni dari awal lah, maksudnya apabila kita nampak tontonan ni, itu memberikan sedikit indikator tentang bagaimana khalayak menerima PSA yang dihasilkan tersebut. Dan jumlah tontonan tertinggi dihasilkan pada bulan April, dan tontonan yang terendah aku dapat dilihat di sini sebanyak 2021. Yang ni saya rasa lebih kepada PSA yang hanya memberikan info. Dia macam kadar mengambil autoriti, bercakap dan keluarkan info saja. So it's a bit boring actually kalau tanya personally lah. Dari aspek bahasa pula, pada mulanya dihasilkan dalam bahasa Melayu, dan pada bulan Februari ada juga dihasilkan dalam 2 bahasa, dan bila masuk ke bulan Mac dan juga bulan Jun, kebanyakan dihasilkan dalam bahasa Melayu dan meletakkan sari kata untuk memudahkan kalau yang kurang memahami bahasa Melayu untuk memahami PKA tersebut. Dari aspek mesej pula, ini asas mesej pula. Yang kedua, perincian topik setiap mesej. Ini antara topik-topik yang dihasilkan. Saya pecahkan kepada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 topik utama. Pengenalan novel coronavirus, langkah pencegahan dan juga perubahan gaya hidup dan juga nombor baru. So ini antara mesej besar, dan setiap mesej ni pula kalau dikatakan macam contoh pengenalan tu lebih kepada penjelasan tentang apa itu coronavirus, apakah gejala jangkitan, cara mengendalikan, and then it's more kita tahu pada topik ini sebenarnya lebih fokus kepada penetapan awal dan juga pertimbangan. Kalau langkah pencegahan ini pula dia lebih kepada topik-topik yang bersifat peringkat persediaan dan juga tindakan, manakala perubahan gaya hidup dan juga nombor baru lebih kepada mesej-mesej yang terfokus kepada peringkat tindakan dan juga pengekalan. So ni antara mesej utama dia. Saya cakap tadi dalam langkah pencegahan dia ada penjelasan tentang perintah kawalan pergerakan. So bagaimana memutuskan rantaian kuarantin 14 hari dan juga peritup muka. Dari segi perubahan gaya hidup pula, mesej yang disampaikan macam mana kita nak perkenalkan 3C dan juga elakkan 3C, amalkan 3W, pembelian makanan dalam talian, jarak 1 meter, penggunaan hand sanitizer, solat berjemaah. Dan pada ketika itu juga ketika negara berhadapan dengan bulan Ramadan dan juga Syawal, so ada juga PKA berkaitan dengan SOP ketika bulan-bulan Ramadan dengan Syawal, dan juga My Sejahtera. So ini yang dikumpulkan berdasarkan dari aspek mesej. So dari aspek mesej kita boleh nampak dia macam setara. Dari aspek topik dan juga peringkat itu nampak macam ada synchronizationnya di situ. Dari aspek teknik pula, kalau dilihat berdasarkan topik dan juga fasa, kalau dilihat dari peringkat penetapan awal tu dia lebih kepada teknik komunikasi, dia lebih kepada temu bual, fakta, teks dan juga muzik sahaja yang datang daripada autoriti, sama ada daripada doktor pakar dan juga menteri. Kalau dapat dilihat kalau dalam YouTube lah yang berdasarkan analisis kami lakukan, dia lebih kepada temu bual sahaja, doktor hanya bercakap dan menerangkan apa benda. So dia lebih kepada macam kita mendengar sesuatu yang fakta. So dari segi aspek dia punya untuk komunikasi untuk menarik minat itu agak sedikit kurang, dan yang ni dapat dilihat tally dengan jumlah penontonan pada waktu itu pun tidak banyak berbanding dengan berbanding dengan teknik yang lain. Sebagai contohnya, dari aspek langkah pencegahan pada ketika ini sudah mula menggunakan teknik animasi, infografik dan juga permainan teks dan juga muzik. So dapat lihat daripada di situ apabila menggunakan suara latar, dia punya bila menggunakan animasi, and then tiba-tiba ada pula pengenalan watak-watak makcik Kiah dan sebagainya. penyampaian yang lebih santai sebenarnya memberikan impak yang sebenarnya lebih menarik untuk khalayak terus menonton ataupun terus mengambil mesej-mesej utama di dalam PKA yang dihasilkan tersebut. Jadi dari segi kesimpulannya apa yang kami dapatkan daripada kajian awal ini, sebenarnya peringkat terpenting dalam penghasilan PKA sepatutnya peringkat penetapan awal dan juga pertimbangan. Dan pada peringkat inilah sepatutnya mesej yang dihasilkan perlu lebih kreatif, perlu lebih menarik untuk menarik minat. Tetapi kalau dilihat daripada analisis awal tadi, pada dua peringkat ini, PKA yang dihasilkan sebenarnya dia tidak memberikan impak sangat. Dia macam kurang menarik perhatian audiens dan sebagainya. So there's a bit problem there. And then terdapat penyesuaian mesej pada setiap peringkat perubahan khalayak. Yang ni yang saya tunjukkan dalam bahagian kedua tadi, hasil kajian bahagian kedua. Setiap 4 peringkat itu mesejnya sama, tetapi teknik persembahan dan juga teknik pembujukan itu perlu dipertingkatkan lagi dari semasa ke semasa. Dan kita boleh dapat lihat sekarang apabila memang banyak stesen-stesen televisyen pun sudah memperbanyakkan dia orang punya teknik pembujukan dengan sebagai contohnya meletakkan watak Upin Ipin, and then ada watak yang dekat dengan khalayak sebagai contohnya Makcik Kiah, keluarga Makcik Kiah. Ada PKA yang memberikan senario dan juga situasi Makcik Kiah, kerana pada waktu itu Makcik Kiah ni a bit viral because of ucapan Perdana Menteri pada ketika itu yang menekankan tentang Makcik Kiah dan sebagainya. So ramai orang menggunakan Makcik Kiah. Dan juga penggunaan komunikasi berbentuk animasi, infografik dan juga audio visual lebih menarik berbanding dengan komunikasi linear. Ini pun jelas terbukti. Terima kasih. Saya harap sedikit sebanyak pembentangan ini memberikan ruang cambahan ilmu untuk kita lebih cakna terhadap persembahan mesej yang digunakan di dalam pesanan khidmat awam. Sekian, terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih Dr. Hasrul Hashim dan Dr. Muhammad Azul. Suatu kajian yang menarik dan saya fikir cukup relevan dalam konteks semasa untuk menambah baik dan mendedahkan dua kelemahan dalam strategi pembujukan khalayak dan juga masa di negara kita berkenaan kesedaran dan amalan yang terbaik untuk menghadapi dan mencegah wabak COVID. Jadi saya nak pastikan kita teruskan the next presenter ataupun kita ada masa untuk Q&A sekarang ataupun kemudian. Imran, macam mana?
Maybe boleh teruskan semua presenter and in the end of session baru Q&A.
Correct. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Then we know that's the procedure. So we move on to the next paper by Dr. Muhammad Firdaus Mat Hussein and Professor Madya, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Nur Shahizan Ali from UKM. And the paper is on exploring the role of photography in enhancing public awareness on environmental issues. Over to you guys.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. If everybody can hear my voice, Alhamdulillah, be able to meet Encik Bat, my former lecturer. I'm a former lecturer at MENTION during my master's degree. Hope everything's going well there. So today I'm going to present my paper. Wait, I share my slide. Okay. My title for this research is exploring the role of photography in enhancing public awareness on environmental issues. Me, Muhammad Firdaus bin Mat Hussein, together with my supervisor, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Nur Shahizan Ali from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. So I'm starting my presentation with the introduction. Okay, so as the world continues to adapt and change, we seek to understand that what some of the more unseen impacts may be. So photography is incorporated into every aspect of our life and ways we are always consciously aware. Everybody loves photography. When we talk about photography, it's capture everybody's interest and everybody's attention. And one of the most important issues is the environmental issues have become a major factor in creating pollution in our society and affects our life and affects the society, the world society itself. Photography seems a form of communication that involves a visual display. Okay, we every day we are communicating through verbal and non-verbal, and photography is one of visual display with several and with a lot of meaning actually. And for example, the environmental issues. It's not limited to the environmental issues. Photography can be used as a communication tools to enhance or to communicate about any related issues. So since 1960s, okay, photography has played a significant role in bridging the environmental issues. Right? Bear in mind that photography have a significant impact, right, to bridging the issues such as environmental issues to the attention. And according to the Sepanen and Valironen 2010, the problem of environmental audience to lose interest in environmental issues that occur repeatedly. Okay, so but we can see today's everybody are trying to communicate by using photography. I try to deliver the issues by using a visual method. While economic advancement is critical for improving people's life, the environment must also be maintained. Okay, today's people are keep talking about climate change. Right? Everyone here and there are talking about climate change. The environmental deterioration, strong reliance on non-renewable energy sources are still major concern. So the balance between the economic development and the environmental protection should be emphasized among, it's not just the world leaders, right? Also among society itself. Okay, wait. So objective, all of the study issues are framed in terms of how photographic image might influence the society. This is due to the growth of communication technology, which has resulted in much more open society, in which information may be sent to the audience. Because nowadays, audience are more likely to take action and to have the attention towards any visuals. As a result, the distribution of meaning to the audience through photographic image is viewed as non-limited medium of communication. Therefore, the main objective of this study to explore the role of photography in enhancing public awareness on environmental issues. So methodology for this study, a qualitative method has been used, which is an in-depth interview with 10 photographers. So 10 photographers are divided into two groups, which is a freelance photographer and a press photographer. Press photographer, we know as a professional photographer. Okay, so based on the discussion, data were analyzed and therefore major themes emerged from the discussion. So findings, analysis to establish the findings in the study was undertaken after the data collection stage was complete. And it took around 2 months for me to finish the interview session during the pandemic, and all of the session were performed in very informal ways by using Google Meet. And based on the discussion, the first theme emerged is communication technology. At this time, communication technologies have an impact on every element of human life. Information cannot be accessed in everyone, is portable. So the majority of the informant believe that as communication technology help to enhancing, embrace the awareness of photographer will be able to share helpful information about specific issues, about certain issues through online media channels, such as social media itself. As cited in the following excerpt by informant number 2, as a photographer, yes, we need to show to the people that we are among the best in delivering the issues to the audience. So that's the job of a press photographer. Especially nowadays, we just upload through social media, then people will see. So it's actually quite simple to create public awareness about environmental issues. All of the photographers have their own social media accounts, so just post it and wait for the feedback by informant number 1. And also stated by the freelance photographer, informant number 7, I believe that photography is important in educating society about any issues. It's not just environmental issues. We live in the 21st century, thus it's simple for us to distribute positive content and knowledge about photography to the audience. And informant number 3 said that photographers and technology cannot be separated. Okay, we are not silo anymore. So photography are not a silo field anymore. So communication through photo is very important and is the best medium to convey the information. It can be seen that communication technology, with the advancement of technology through the media, social media, it helps photographers to develop, to produce a good photograph in order to develop audience interest. Okay, of course, everybody are likely to saw a beautiful image. Okay, and a second theme merged from the discussion, the framing and the photography. Okay, framing is in a photography compositional method for isolating a subject by integrating elements from scene as the frame. And framing has the ability to alter how narrative is presented to the audience. And all of the informant in the group of professional photographers, which is press photographers, agreed that framing is one of the most essential criteria and elements in enhancing and attracting the public attention to certain issues. As cited in the following excerpt, as a professional photographer, framing is the key factor for us to capture a great moment. Formula number 8. Formula number 6 stated that framing is vital for professional photographers to ensure that our photograph be able to tell the story to the audience. So we as a photographer has played a role in the society, and a good image have a good framing technique. Okay, so good subject with a good frame for sure will be able to enhance public awareness from informant number 4, meaning that the framing is a very important element among the professional photographers. Okay. However, some of the informant from the freelance group felt that framing is not important. It depends on the client request. Of course, we know that a freelance photographer, they are more working towards demand from the customers, from the client. So a photo is just an image that created by us. So framing are not the key factors for me. Okay. Informant number 10 say that I'm just a freelance photographer. So mostly my image is more focusing on client and what I think is nice and important to me. Okay. So there's two different opinion and ideas about the framing as a element, main element in order to give awareness, to enhance more awareness among the society about certain issues. And the third theme emerged from the discussion is the subject matter itself. So subject matter is a major and primary objects, such as human, animals, and environment. The placement of subjects in the image is a key component in enhancing and attracting audience attention to give the focus to the issues. So most of the informants said that subject matter is a very important in every single photograph. Cannot be denied that. So it's the main focus point that helps the audience to understand and aware the image is about. So I stated the following excerpt by informant number 4. A subject in a photography is very important. Without subject, there's no story to tell. Okay. Informant number 6, where is your focus? For sure, subject matter. If you are not highlighting the subject matter, you are not highlighting the main issues. So without a doubt, the photo subject is important. There's the main point you are addressing. So you take photo with a subject matter or relevant subject, the result is a photo that is completely ridiculous. And informant number 5 said that the subject is the image focal point, both literally as the clearest point in the shot. So the photographer's decisions are influenced by the subject. So the main issues that we are discussing is environmental issues. So photographer should focus more on the subject. So the informant number 1 said that the image is empty without a subject, focal point, or object of attention. To educate the audience, a photograph must have a clear subject. So in order to develop the strategy, how to enhance the public awareness towards certain issues, the subject, it needs to be clear before anything else. So as a photographer, they know what the main subject, they know what should to be, they know what subject need to be setting either foreground or the background. And the last image from the discussion is the image storytelling. And the World Wide Web has sparked a movement towards digital storytelling, which allow people to share such stories in a digital form. And majority of the informant also said that every single image it always relates to the storytelling. As stated in the following excerpt, photography has always created a storytelling. The meaning behind every image is important. It helps audience to understand the issues. Creative photo with unique storytelling is worthy to see. Okay, a creative photo with a unique storytelling is worthy to see. It's not just a static image. Okay, that's the role of photography. We have to know that photography is live. It tells a story, share ideas, experience about any events, about any issues. So the photography is the main key to promote and develop audience attention. So why people share their photos online? Because they want to share the story. They want to share their experience, their ideas, their opinion. Okay, so for me, I'm always interested in delivering the issues to the people, just like what you're asking, the environmental issues. Okay, as a photographer, focusing the right issues so that people will understand better. And then from number 3, before you go out to shoot as a professional photographer, you should think about the aspect of storytelling. So meaning that all of the photographers stated that the storytelling, the image storytelling is one of the main elements need to be used by every photographer. It's not just a press photographer, it's not a freelance photographer, to develop, to create a society interest about any issues. Okay, I'm repeat again, it's not just focusing to the environmental issues. Okay, it also can be used for any relevant issues. So the conclusion for this study is the relevance of photography in transmitting meaning and changing audience understanding of issues has been explored in the study. So photography has the potential to be powerful tools. Okay, photography has the potential to be a powerful tool in ensuring the audience are always aware of and exposed to important issues. The advancement of digital technology has brought a varied range of information from all over the world, and directly, indirectly made all of this information spread so quickly without boundaries. And this information is getting increasingly fast, and various digital material is created. So besides that, the findings also revealed that photography can be used as major tools in conveying information and develop audience interest towards the addressed issues. Okay, photography can be used as a major tool in conveying the information and develop the audience interest towards any addressed issues, towards any important issues. Each photograph has its own meaning. So I'm concluding my presentation with this abbreviation CFCI. Okay, a communication technology, a framing, subject matter, and image storytelling is a major elements need to be taken seriously by both group of photographers, by us also as a content creator, to create an image that be able, okay, to benefit the society, to benefit the ummah. So that's all my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Firdaus, for that interesting and interesting new sort of model for photography, CFSI. So I hope it can be a model that we all photography enthusiasts can use later on, especially for those who venture into photography as professional photographers. I wish you good luck for your research. Okay, nice to meet you again. Okay, proceeding next with a paper by Dr. Raihana Muhammad and Dr. Siti Izalila Mustafa from the University of Malaya. And their paper is on the visual communication on children wordless picture book, a study on professional crocodile. Interesting. Over to you. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rohana binti Muhammad. So today I'm going to present my paper entitled Visual with Communication on Children Wordless Book. Let me share. Can you see my slides? Yes, okay. Let me continue my presentation. So once again, I will present my paper entitled Visual Communication on Children Wordless Picture Book, a study on professional crocodile. So this book is actually wordless, without text, all right? So for the introduction, okay, before I start, children books can be in the form of fiction and non-fiction for the children to read an attractive and imaginative experience, all right? This also includes this kind of book, all right, because it is very unique that its content must be communicated solely through the use of illustration, all right. So these images must be able to stand alone without the support of printed text, and it must carry the full weight of illustrators' intention, the illustrators, what the illustrators want to tell about, all right. So it is very related to visual literacy, and it is very important for the children specifically to have the ability to see, to understand, and also to ultimately communicate visually. Okay, so it's actually an understanding of what is not written, but what is presented using signs, symbol, icons, and colors, right? So according to Nabila, 2020, they mentioned that preschoolers who are proficient in reading tend to showcase an excellent academic result from primary school until secondary school. All right, so therefore reading must be included as a routine and practiced by every human being, especially for the immersion reader. Okay, for this kind of book, wordless picture book, they are not widely used in the preschool setting in Malaysia. Okay, most of the books or story books with text, and children have been taught and learned about it. Okay. In addition, there are many preschoolers who are still not able to proficiently read the books. Okay, so there are 15%. This data is actually from Taha 2010. There are 15% of children who are have problems in language development at an early stage. All right. Okay, for the aim of my study is to discuss in detail about the visual communication of wordless picture book, which is a professional crocodile, on how it communicates and tell the story to children. All right, and then the second one is to analyze the elements and principle used in the professional crocodile that can embark immersion readers' interest to read. Okay, for the method that I'm using for this study is obviously document analysis. This is because according to Bowen, it's very important because it's a systematic procedure for reviewing or evaluating document, especially for the printed material. Okay, so for the sample that I've mentioned before, I'm using the professional crocodile. Maybe some of you wondering why I'm using this professional crocodile book. Okay, this is because it has been listed as the in International Board of Books for Young People, IBBY, on the list 2018 for the illustration category. Okay, so for the theory that I've been using for this study is that visual literacy theory by Afrenu and Peterson. Okay, they propose that this theory should be grounded on the following conceptual component. There are 5 actually. Okay, the first one is visual perception, visual language, visual learning, visual thinking, and last but not least, visual communication. So for this study, I'm using only one component here, which is visual communication. Okay, so you can see here, there are 2 components. There are 2 visual literacy. The left one is actually from previous theory from Afrenu. This one is from 2011. So last year they have been updated their theory for 2020. They are a bit similar actually, just that the components are for the visual thinking, they put in the middle of it. And a visual communication is on top of the component, but they are still related to each other. All right. For the findings, okay, for the finding, Of course, I'm using this wordless book is to analyze the illustration. Okay, so according to Hadi Hermanto, visual illustration that are easy to understand will accelerate the delivery of messages in a visual communication that occurs between illustration and observer. Okay, so it's actually what is visual literacy is actually the ability that, of children to understand, to can interpret the illustration while in the professional crocodile, and also can think and learn from it. What that is the visual literacy is. Okay, and then you can see here in the figure 2, you can see the relation between visual literacy theory by Biennial and visual communication in wordless picture book. Okay, started with visual literacy by Biennial, and then I choose only one of its component, which is visual communication, and then the medium that the reader can see through the story, which is the illustration, and then the reader will have the ability to understand, to read, and then to think and learn from the illustration. Okay, so they can understand the story more through the illustration. Okay, and then I will discuss in detail regarding the design elements and principle that can embark imaginary readers' interest to read. All right. Okay, for the result I'm finding, you can see here there are for this data analysis, these are among the design elements that I can found in the professional crocodile. The first one is the point. Okay, you can see the point here, the stars. Okay, and then the second one, the line and shapes. You can see the lines. The illustrator is actually using the lines and then create the shapes in order to illustrate their ideas, the environment, and also what the story is all about. All right, and then the third one is the tone. Okay, you can see the combination. The illustrator was using the tone, which are the crocodile shadow. You can see the crocodile shadows and also the light coming from outside, coming inside the interior of the crocodile's locker room. All right, and then as for the texture, okay, the combination of point, line, shape, and tone that has been created by illustrator in order to give the feel to the children who read this book in a realistic style, even though they can't really feel the medium used. Okay, however, the children can feel the texture in the illustration. Okay, for the color, okay, the delicate pink meets media watercolor, pastel, and colored ink make the details of this book very wonderful, so that the children will excited more when they see when they read the books and they want to know more about the story. And then of course, last but not least, type. Okay, type, even though it is a wordless picture book, but it's only the content. However, the jacket, the back page of the book still have the types. All right, the title here. Okay, for the next analysis is that the design principle. Okay, for the table 4, you can see here the figure and ground. Okay, the figure is the crocodile, and then the background of the story, which include the view outside the glass and the tiles, and then the trees. And then how about the balance? Balance, you can see here the illustrator applied asymmetrical balance for the train's law. Okay, and then for the contrast, the different color or texture between the pool and the surrounding, such as stars, trees, plants, and others. And then the cropping, you can see the cropping here. Okay, for this kind of book, this is illustrated using the comic layout style. Okay, and then for most of the book page, he applied the margin and also frames so that the story flow very smoothly. Okay, so the children can read smoothly the books. Okay. And then for the next page is that hierarchy. Okay, you can see very easily here the differentiate of the distance. You can see the paper sizes much smaller from far compared to the crocodile here. Okay, and then the scale, you can see here, scale is also actually used to create hierarchy. Okay, the variation size between 2 or more components of the same kind is used to create the depth in composition. Okay. And then the next one is the proportion. Okay. So for the proportion, okay, it's the ratio between at least 2 dimensions of a component in the visual communication. Okay, you can see here the animals are out of the proportion than people as this are for children. Okay, when we think about the animal, actually they are much bigger than us. They are much taller than us. However, in this kind of children books, maybe the illustrator wants to highlight more humor, the funny side of the animals, or also wants to make the story more interesting for the children. Okay, next one is the pattern. You can see the different pattern applied for this book, especially for their winter coat. Okay, you can see the crocodile coat's pattern is different from the blue coat, and then the woman in the second frame wears striped scarf, and the blue coat man bought baggage stuffed inside the yellow circle pattern bag. Okay. Okay, for the application of the research, is actually this study hopefully can be can give an idea to start introduce the wordless books as a basis of learning. Okay, as this type of book is actually can give a broad knowledge and imagination to children. Okay, according to Serafini, imagination is very important part of process of reading visual narrative. Okay, they said he said that the open-endedness of or ambiguity that is inherent in wordless picture book allows readers to construct diverse interpretations and return again and again to reconsider their initial impressions. Okay, teaching readers to dwell in complex illustrations and to wander through the sequence of images in wordless picture book, exploring the possibilities they offer. Is an important part of becoming visually literate. And of course, children who are not proficient in reading text, this book can be introduced so that they are not left behind. Okay, so as for the educators, it's actually must expose with the visual literacy earlier. Okay, so that they can teach the student how to read this kind of book. Okay, without text. And then there are Osborne and Osborne list of potential benefits of developing visual literacy, which there are 4 of that. Okay, number 1, can increase in all kinds of verbal skill. Number 2, to improve self-expression and ordering ideas. Number 3, increase in student motivation and interest in subject. And number 4, can reach student that not being reached in a traditional way. Okay, so for instance, through the use of magazine advertisement, okay, for content analysis of visual media, okay, this wordless picture book can be for recognition of the non-verbal sign. Okay, so this can be introduced also for the children in preschool setting in Malaysia. Okay, I think that's all from me. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that presentation, and we can put, I think, throw some questions, interesting questions to this sort of research.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, later on, hopefully, and we can gain more insight into the world of children and their imagination. Okay, thank you very much. I will further proceed to the next paper from Dr. Suhaila Zaki Nur Azlili Hassan and Abdul Malik Ahmad from University Tunku Abdul Rahman, Utah, on the subject of interpretation of Malaysian culture or Malaysian cultural heritage in photography. You can proceed with your presentation.
Assalamualaikum, and thank you, Mr. Badro. Before I will start, I would like to share my screen. All right. Okay. Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. My name is Suhaila. I'm from University Tunku Abdul Rahman. My topic today is one of my objectives in my PhD research, and this is one of the objectives in my thesis. So the title is Interpretations of Malaysia Cultural Heritage in Photography. A little bit introductions about photography. It's the representations of reality and self-expression which contains meaning, feelings, emotions, and brings unwritten message to convey through it. Photography can be as a friend, as your career or hobby, but it has a remarkable function in multitude of ways to resemble reality, enhances inability to act alone in different capacities. Photographs have been used by artists for visual expressions, by journalists to record events, by scientists to gather our data about the physical universe, and nearly everyone else drawn by photography ability to faithfully record the world, and because it is low cost and it is of use. When photography represents communication, communication can be carried out effectively for everyone. So as we speak about photography, I would like to introduce and tribute a legendary photographer, is Allahyarham Ismail Hashim. A little bit about Allahyarham is he's born in 1940 in Penang. In 1959, he entered the Teachers Training College, and 3 years later was seconded to the Federation School for the Deaf in Penang. He obtained a further qualification from the University of Manchester to become a qualified teacher for deaf and gain a certificate art teaching from the Specialist Teachers Training Institute in Kuala Lumpur. His next few years were devoted to teaching art in Federation School for Deaf, an experience that later counted as one of the meaningful of his career. He also was the first Malaysian artist photographer who often to be exhibited and artworks in Balai Seni Negara. Usually all his artworks explain very well into his photograph. So these people are set out to analyze the Malaysian culture, heritage and diversity in photography. Photography is used to capture and record events that people experience. It can be used as a way of delivering information to everyone who sees in picture taken. Photography also contributes to a cultural heritage and is also often as a way communicating cultural related information. Photographers usually take a picture that occurs in an event to convey a specific message. Cultural diversity can be clearly in Malaysian lifestyle, attire, celebration, and a place of worship. Culture is not just a tool for coping, but is also meant for creating awareness or learning. So the method that I'm using for this one is a qualitative approach, which is a semi-structured interview. In doing so, I use 30 students of undergraduate by using a purposive sampling based on the 3 different ethnicity, namely Malays, Chinese, and Indian. The data was analyzed based on the thematic analysis through the interpretations of Ismail Hashim artworks. So there will be 4 artworks covered a variety of forms of including people, culture, celebrations, and lifestyle. Basic socio-demographic characteristic and detailed question about the interpretations of the photograph will be recorded for each male and female student. The student will ask about their understanding of how Malaysian culture in representations in photography. So the first findings, which is the photograph number 1, titled Kita Perlu Bersama dan Bergerak Sekali. So this is a compilation of pictures during the first day of students' registrations at University Science Malaysia. The student came from various ethnicity, Malay, Chinese, and Indian, who look very happy to pursue their study, and initially the student who came from various backgrounds who do not know of each other. As we can see inside this photograph, in Malaysia, baju kurung is symbolized as a Malay female costume which made from a knee-length blouse that is worn over a long skirt with a long sleeve collarless, while the skirt, called as a kain, has pleated on one side. Baju kurung is normally dressed in special and formal events such as festival and wedding. The way Malay women dress baju kurung with tudung is interpreted as modest, which is equivalent to Sharia compliance. While Malay male students will wear baju Melayu, is actually a loose tunic which worn over trousers, accompanied with a short sarung called sampin, and also was wrapped around hips and also accompanied with a black songkok. The photo also showed the Indian Malay student wears his turban, which is indicated identity of Singh, as viewed or symbol of sovereignty, as also I think I understand as a crown, as a self-respect, the identity, and also courage and devotions. They are among costumes that indicate the levels of civilizations in society, which identify and clarify their respective languages, cultures, and religions. Move along with photograph number 2, which is very familiar with our culture scenario in everyday life. So this photograph is called as a bilik mandi. As we can see inside the photograph with a kola, gayung, shampoo, soap, toiletries, a broomstick, and kain sarung hang onto the wall. This is a typical scene that portrays life in village where the rural people are setting up in the bathroom. Kain sarung portray a piece of cloth that is stereotypical and appropriate clothing for women as well as men when they are showered. Kain sarung is considered a village life and common outfit in Malay village environment that presented the culture of village life in Malaysia. Although Malaysia are exposed to modern setting as today, the traditional objects can still be seen and common in the village community, which signifies the culture of village life. So culture and social changes as well as characteristics of rural people become understandable through the photograph. Next one is the picture number 3. The photograph shows as an angle of kedai gunting, which represents as a swiveling koken barber chair with a round wooden hut. There is a white cloth, small fan, wooden cabinet, towel, mirror, drawer, powder, water spray, window, and also a few posters and a batik pattern. Batik handcraft is also used in women during confinement as well as to cover a dead body and also as a female costume. As we see in the photograph, batik is used as a seat holder, cushion, and wooden cabinet pads. Floral motif, organics, and geometry such as pucuk rebung and bunga kotak bercampur are very synonymous with Malaysian society. Besides the setting in the barber shop, this is very stereotypical to represent the Malaysian culture, which is also can be seen in traditional house and stores. Kedai gunting also reveals that the barber is one of the typical jobs in Malaysian community and also serve the people also serve as the place for people to socialize and communicate with others to unite the ethnic diversity among Malaysians. Next one, lastly, with the 4th photograph, it's called Tidur Punya Ralik Bom Meletup Pun Tak Sedar. It's a portrait that hand-tinted silver gelatin shown in the situation in a life of a Malay house, covered through a photograph on an old cabinet television somewhere in 1980s with a shutter, a woman sleeping on the floor, a cat, and also a burning mosquito coil. There is an old cabinet, a rug being placed on the floor, and white cloth with floral embroidery. This photograph is still relevant today despite the transitions of technology. The woman in the front of the television is being practiced since ages ago. Referring to the woman clad with a sarung, shown motif with the floral batik, represent a truly Malaysian culture and represent Malay society, which is accepted by Malaysians as a symbol of nationalism in multiracial. The finding that shows of that 4 photos of Ismail Hashim were interpreted into themes, namely landscape, society, people, costume, traditions, economics, and culture. The study also found that the students share the same meanings in their interpretations and understanding about the photo, which indirectly indicate their awareness as a Malaysian and young generation towards Malaysian culture and lifestyle. So that's all. That's conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Suhaila. And those images certainly evoke reminiscence and remembrance of life in the past for some people. And I'm probably one of the oldest here around. So yes, So those television sets certainly is familiar. Okay, some artifact from the past. But yes, Ismail Hashim is certainly, I think, quite well known and a respectable photographer, and hopefully we shall have some questions for your work later on.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. And moving on to the last paper from Dr. Muhammad Irfan Shahruddin and Azina Kamaluddin from Universiti Utara Malaysia. Kertas mereka bertajuk Analisis Video Pendek Penyalahgunaan Dadah terhadap Fungsi Komunikasi. Dipersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang dirahmati Allah sekalian, insya-Allah pada petang ini saya akan membentangkan kajian saya yang bertajuk Analisis Video Pendek Penyalahgunaan Dadah Terhadap Fungsi Komunikasi. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, sedikit pengenalan tentang kajian ini. Umum mengetahui bahawa penggunaan teknologi dan media sosial pada ketika ini tidak asing lagi bagi setiap lapisan masyarakat di Malaysia khususnya. Media sosial seperti YouTube, Facebook dan Instagram menjadi tumpuan dalam kalangan masyarakat, terutamanya golongan remaja, sehingga mengubah pola komunikasi ataupun kehidupan masyarakat pada hari ini. Di samping itu, statistik yang telah dikeluarkan oleh Suruhanjaya Komunikasi dan Multimedia Malaysia menyatakan bahawa terdapat peningkatan dalam penggunaan internet dalam kalangan rakyat Malaysia, di mana peningkatan tersebut menunjukkan pada tahun 2018 sebanyak 28.7 juta pengguna, lebih tinggi daripada pada tahun 2016, iaitu sebanyak 24.5 juta pengguna sahaja. Di samping itu, dalam menangani isu kebejahatan sosial pada hari ini, khususnya isu penyalahgunaan dadah, media sosial turut memainkan peranannya yang tersendiri menerusi beberapa fungsi komunikasi yang dimasukkan di dalam video-video yang dipaparkan. Namun begitu, pendedahan maklumat di YouTube yang begitu luas dan dapat diakses dengan mudah menjadikan fungsi komunikasi seperti hiburan yang melalaikan lebih dominan berbanding hiburan berunsur pengajaran, pendidikan dan motivasi, sehingga menimbulkan pelbagai masalah sosial yang lain seperti ketagihan internet, buli cyber, tingkah laku seks yang berisiko, ketagihan video lucah, penyalahgunaan dadah dan sebagainya. Seterusnya, perkara ini telah membawa kepada objektif kajian yang telah dilaksanakan, iaitu meneroka kefahaman ibu bapa terhadap fungsi komunikasi dalam pemaparan video penyalahgunaan dadah di YouTube. Berdasarkan sorotan karya yang telah dilaksanakan di dalam kajian ini, kajian-kajian lepas telah menunjukkan beberapa fungsi komunikasi di YouTube seperti memberi informasi, hiburan, mendidik dan mempengaruhi pengguna. Kemudian fungsi komunikasi di YouTube juga turut menjadi alat pendidikan, medium penyampaian maklumat, informasi tentang keagamaan serta informasi berkenaan kesihatan. Kemudian berdasarkan kepada fungsi yang terdapat di dalam media sosial atau khususnya YouTube ini, telah menjadikan aplikasi YouTube lebih interaktif dalam menyampaikan sesuatu maklumat hasil gabungan daripada audio dan visual. Seterusnya, aplikasi YouTube sebagai platform yang lebih komprehensif dapat menarik perhatian para pengguna. Kemudian metodologi bagi kajian ini menggunakan pendekatan kualitatif dan menggunakan persampalan bertujuan. Okey. Kajian ini berdasarkan kepada pemilihan ataupun faktor fleksibiliti yang diberikan kepada informan dalam menghuraikan jawapan bagi soalan yang diajukan. Persampalan bertujuan pula digunakan di mana kita memilih ataupun menetapkan video-video yang akan digunakan bagi tujuan kajian ini. Seterusnya, data kajian ini terdiri daripada 3 buah video seperti yang saya nyatakan sebelum ini. 3 buah video tentang penyalahgunaan dadah di YouTube. Kemudian 8 orang informan yang telah ditetapkan kriteria bagi kajian ini. Antara kriteria yang telah ditetapkan iaitu mempunyai anak remaja yang pernah terlibat dengan masalah penyalahgunaan dadah dan tinggal di kawasan atau daerah yang berisiko tinggi terhadap masalah penyalahgunaan dadah di negeri Kedah dan Perlis. Baik, seterusnya data yang dikumpul dianalisis menggunakan analisis tematik dan etika bagi kajian ini di mana pengkaji membuat permohonan kepada JSJN PDRM Bukit Aman bagi mendapatkan data berhubung statistik kawasan dan senarai kes terhadap isu penyalahgunaan dadah di negeri Kedah dan Perlis. Kemudian pengkaji juga menyediakan borang pengakuan penyertaan informan bagi menyatakan kesukarelaan mereka terhadap kajian yang dilaksanakan. Baik, berdasarkan hasil kajian yang telah dilaksanakan menunjukkan bahawa terdapat 5 tema ataupun 5 fungsi komunikasi yang telah dikeluarkan, iaitu yang pertama, pemunjukan berbentuk amaran, di mana pandangan ini ataupun pernyataan ini dinyatakan oleh informan 4, informan 5 dan informan 6. Kemudian tema yang kedua terdiri daripada 2 subtema, di mana tema tersebut ialah menyampaikan informasi dan terpecah ataupun berpecah pada 2 subtema, iaitu dadah memusnahkan institusi kekeluargaan seperti yang dinyatakan oleh informan 3, 4, 6, 7 dan informan 8. Kemudian dadah mendorong kepada masalah sosial yang lebih serius seperti yang dinyatakan oleh informan 1, 2, 3, informan 5, 6 dan 8. Kemudian fungsi yang terdapat, fungsi komunikasi lagi yang terdapat di dalam video penyalahgunaan dadah yang telah dipilih menunjukkan bahawa video-video tersebut mampu untuk mencetus kesedaran di mana pandangan tersebut dinyatakan oleh informan 4, 5, 6, 7 dan 8. Kemudian fungsi yang keempat iaitu mendidik masyarakat untuk menjauhi dadah yang dinyatakan oleh informan 1, 2, 3, 4 dan 6. Seterusnya fungsi yang terakhir iaitu fungsi hiburan, di mana hiburan yang dimaksudkan di dalam kajian ini ialah hiburan yang berunsur pendidikan, di mana ia telah dinyatakan oleh informan 1, 2, 3, 5, informan 7 dan informan 8. Kemudian secara rumusan dapatan kajian ini secara amnya menunjukkan fungsi komunikasi merupakan satu indikator yang dapat digunakan oleh masyarakat bagi menyampaikan sesuatu maklumat ataupun mendapat maklumat. Kemudian YouTube juga menjadi sumber inspirasi kepada pengguna dalam menyampaikan ataupun mendapatkan sesuatu maklumat. Secara umumnya golongan ibu bapa amat memahami peranan dan tanggungjawab yang perlu dilaksanakan di dalam mengemudikan rumah tangga, di samping menggunakan media sosial sebagai alat bantu bagi memantau kegiatan sosial anak-anak mereka serta mendidik anak-anak mereka. Kajian tentang fungsi komunikasi ini juga perlu dilaksanakan oleh pengkaji-pengkaji akan datang supaya masyarakat lebih memahami tentang kepentingan fungsi komunikasi supaya setiap maklumat yang disampaikan ataupun diterima dapat digunakan dengan sebaiknya dan berkesan. Di samping itu, fungsi komunikasi juga turut membantu ibu bapa dalam mendidik ataupun mengawal anak-anak mereka daripada terjebak dalam kancah penyalahgunaan dadah. Jadi setakat itu dahulu pembentangan saya pada hari ini. Saya sudahi dengan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Terima kasih sudah membentang. Jadi saya fikir kita ada berapa masa untuk question and answer, Imran?
Yes.
How
Actually, it doesn't stated how many minutes.
Alright.
So it's up to you. Yeah.
Okay. Jadi saya buka kepada soalan-soalan daripada semua peserta dan pembentang sesi ini. Jadi untuk peringatan sekali lagi, kertas kerja yang pertama ialah mengenai Public Service Announcement ya, atau PKA sebagai alat pembujukan dan di sini ada implikasi diffusion theory, bagaimana sasaran halayak sasaran perlu dirayu dan ada model yang bertahap dikemukakan oleh pengkaji. Kertas kerja yang kedua itu adalah mengenai fotografi dan ada model CFSI yang dikemukakan oleh pengkaji untuk mereka yang meminati fotografi dan berniat untuk menjadi professional photographers. Ada hal-hal yang perlu diambil berat. Yang ketiga mengenai dunia dan alam imajinasi kanak-kanak dan bagaimana suatu inovasi tentang buku-buku kanak-kanak itu tidak lagi memerlukan perkataan, wordless, according to the researcher, dan bagaimana pula dengan kanak-kanak di Malaysia. Ya, of course buaya suatu animal yang popular dalam Sesame Street pun ada buaya, dalam puppet Bernie ke apa, saya pun tak ingat ya, banyak menggunakan image dan watak buaya berbanding mungkin sang kancil, tapi di Malaysia kita boleh tanyakan nanti. Dan yang keempat, paper tentang fotografi lagi, menyorot karya-karya Ismail Hashim dan apakah yang tersirat di sebalik image-image yang dipilihnya, dan ada hal-hal bersemiotik yang mungkin menarik minat ya, pengkaji budaya dan ethnicity dan sebagainya, dan menghimbau kenangan lama mengenai kemelayuan dan sebagainya. Dan juga kertas yang terakhir dalam sesi ini ialah berkenaan dengan fungsi dan kegunaan YouTube ya, yang menyediakan video-video berdurasi pendek untuk meningkatkan kesedaran terhadap wabak ataupun anasir dadah di negara kita. Jadi saya buka, maybe kita boleh ingat balik soalan-soalan yang mungkin terlintas di fikiran kita. Silakan.
Assalamualaikum. Saya
Ya,
Izzah,
Waalaikumsalam. Ya,
pelajar tahun 1. Saya ada soalan kepada Dr. Azrul.
silakan.
Okay, Dr. Azrul berkenaan PSA di Malaysia, saya nak tanya pendapat Dr. Azrul lah. Sepanjang negara kita dilanda pandemik, Dr. Azrul rasa media kita berjaya tak menghasilkan PSA yang sangat berimpak kepada masyarakat? And Dr. rasa dalam banyak PSA yang telah dihasilkan, mana yang paling lengkap lah bagi doktor? Dan apa PSA yang sepatutnya pelajar mention hasilkan? Maksudnya yang penuh elemen lah sebagai orang yang belajar media, apa yang doktor rasa patut mencukupkan rasa PSA itu?
Okay, terima kasih Izzah. Ini lagi saya dekat dia teknikal, saya ada gangguan bunyi. Okey, cuba dengar. Okey. Alright, terima kasih Izzah. Pada pandangan saya merasakan PSA yang kalau berdasarkan penghasil saya di Malaysia, yang dilakukan sangat berbeza-beza mengikut macam saya dah tahu tadi kan, in-house style. Tapi antara PSA yang saya boleh ingat ketika wabak pandemik yang dihasilkan oleh Boboiboy, saya tak salah saya, tapi dia collaboration juga dengan KKN, bukan mistaken. Dan waktu itu juga dia gunakan batu biji kita, kan, batu biji kita sebagai watak katin juga dihasilkan dalam tu. So bagi saya yang tu antara yang saya boleh ingat PSA yang berada di Malaysia. Dalam masa yang sama juga, saya pernah menonton satu PSA yang dihasilkan di Australia dan juga di platform YouTube yang di-share kan. Ada pelbagai variasi emosi yang berlaku. Contohnya di Australia, PSA yang berdurasi lebih dalam 15 saat, kalau saya, dia hanya menunjukkan kesengsaraan seorang mangsa COVID di ward emergency yang sedang sesak nafas tertaruh, ada wayu-wayu semua dekat di sini tu. Dia hanya menunjukkan dia punya dengisan susah bernafas sahaja. Tapi mesej dia tersangat, bagi saya sangat powerful, hanya menunjukkan pada gambar wanita one shot saja. Mesej dia seolah-olah nak bagi tahu benda ini mungkin boleh berlaku kepada anda. So be careful, berhati-hati. Walaupun hanya menggunakan satu shot saja dan tak ada sebarang dialog, hanya menggunakan bunyi-bunyi yang begitu, tapi bagi saya itu sangat besar. Tapi kalau di Malaysia sedikit berbeza sebab dia akan menggunakan teknologi, lepas itu juga dia akan menggunakan macam watak-watak yang mungkin tahu public itu, macam itu, tahu divisam antara individu yang paling berpengaruh bagi COVID-19 dengan Malaysia, menggunakan juga watak UPN dan sebagainya. So, kalau sebagai seorang pelajar untuk menghasilkan seorang PSA, saya merasakan benda pertama yang perlu diketahui oleh seorang pelajar adalah siapa kita punya target audience. Kalau berdasarkan tahap-tahap yang saya perkembangkan dalam model tadi, ada tahap yang ketika tindakan, di mana kan tahap tindakan ini kita sudah tahu bahawa khalayak ada alert dengan situasi yang berlaku dan kita nak target kepada sasaran yang tertentu. So, kalau student, kita perlu menghasilkan PSA yang saya rasa yang lebih dekat dengan jiwa pelajar. Kalau kepada golongan yang dewasa, PSA ini mungkin sedikit berbeza dan masukkan sedikit elemen emosional, psikologi dan juga mungkin ada sedikit elemen humor. Sebab kita tak tahu bila PSA itu ditayangkan, kadang-kadang kita tak tahu siapa yang akan menerima PSA itu. Mungkin dah di-share kan dalam pelbagai platform. Kadang-kadang mungkin ada yang setuju, ada yang tak setuju, ada yang setuju, ada yang tak setuju. So for me, kita kena tahu kita punya target audience dan dalam masa yang sama juga mesej yang disampaikan itu jelas tapi tidak terlalu berat untuk difikirkan oleh khalayak. Saya harap membantulah jawapan saya, Riza.
Dia membantu. Terima kasih, Doktor.
Okay, perlu sediakan skrip yang mantap untuk small storyboard perhaps untuk menjadikan PSA yang compact tetapi berkesan menurut Dr. Azrul, menyentuh jiwa dan bukan saja itu tapi menyedarkan betapa bahayanya wabak itu.
Kalau kajian ni juga Cik Bas, sebenarnya memang akan ada fasa nanti di mana bila kita dah kumpulkan semua dapatan-dapatan peringkat awal ni, kita akan hasilkan juga satu PSA. Yang menyentuh, kita tengoklah apa apa sebenarnya yang audience nak dan apa yang sebenarnya industri perlu buat. So hopefully yang masih lagi dalam peringkat stage ni, so hopefully memang dia punya satu produk dalam kajian yang saya dah lakukan ni memang kami akan hasilkan satu PhD.
Dan kadang-kadang kita terpaksa merundingkan piawai-piawai yang ditetapkan oleh pemerintah dengan daya kreativiti kita sendiri. Jadi kita perlu negotiate banyak dalam banyak hal. Yang lain-lain bagaimana? Ada 4 paper lagi. Saya nak bertanya kepada Dr. Suhaila ya. Jadi apa maksud anda mengambil gambar bilik mandi itu? Ada underlying meaning lagi tak yang anda nak kaji dalam study tentang Malaysian culture?
Kalau diikutkan Ismail Hashim punya perspektif, dia is about dia punya personal lifestyle ataupun like personal experience. So basically we can say that Ismail Hashim ni pun is into or to engage towards to what his experience and also what his daily life. So basically kalau into research, I think kalau into personal opinion ni dia tak berapa supportive. So that's why I pergi kepada like more on cultural kind of perspective. So to me, based on what I've researched and then like what I have read and then like that is all lah, which is like macam more into personal and own preferences. And then like I don't know, Mr. Badrul, like Ismail Hashim dia very interpersonal person, dia very like close to himself. Susah kita nak kenal dia, even though I ada made some interviews dengan dia punya best friend, and then people in Penang pun dia kata Ismail Hashim bukan open to share everything, you kena tanya and all that. And then I did some contact with the family pun like not really into like sharing all these things. So maybe I not yet there, okay, so tapi I cuba lagi to get all informations, maybe like siapa yang curator for the exhibition to maybe like more closer, then kita boleh tahu lagi apa di sebalik gambar tu. Tapi basically like more on his own preference, experience and lifestyle.
If I may share something that is of intertextual in nature, because that picture of a typical Malay bathroom in the rural areas, in not only in the past, I think it is still around and very much functional in the typical Malay society in the rural setting.
Yes,
is some in a way is a kind of, there is a dialogue between what being a Malay is and what being a Malay woman is, because the metaphor for the female Malay is represented by the kain batik.
Yes.
In my opinion. And there was one book on the title, I used to show it in my class. The title is not mandi wajib, but something about hukum, hukum bersuci, something like that, in which there is a exact image of that cubicle where you put your, store your water, that square thing, and a image of a woman berkemban. It is an illustration, it's not a real picture. It's not a photograph, it's an illustration. So in those days, pengajian agama that is directed to the Malay society, and especially if the image of a woman mandi berkemban and using that kolah and it's on the cover of a buku agama. It spells something about what agama was like in those days. So the Malay bathroom, in my opinion, has, I think, multiple or multi-layered meanings to it. And it's not just a place where you go and have your shower and bath and everything, but there are other sort of discourses embedded in it. It's about really, doing your religious duty, cleansing yourself according to, how a Muslim should be, and what, the bathroom in those days, and I think even now, is an area that is sort of unsafe for some people, for women, where you get peeping toms and all that, I love that picture. It's so iconic, I think, in your presentation, but I guess there's probably more that you can explore as to what Ismail Hashim meant by such angle and frame. Then maybe if you look at the context of Malayness and Islam, maybe we can get more. We can say more about it. This is my point here. Yeah.
Okay, I will take note on that, Mr. Badru. Thank you very much for your
Okay.
opinions. I think Malay essence also is very interesting to be pointed out into the research as well.
Yeah, because you said Malaysian culture, so we haven't seen about the other two. And what about because you say Malaysian, so what about the East Malaysians, the Sabahans and the Sarawakians? So the usual typical complaint is that they are regarded as just mere tokens. Whenever you have a poster about Malaysia or representing the country, then you have the girl in samazau dress and the boy in wearing a Dayak thing, or they're just regarded as a token. So I think they are not happy about that. So that's what I heard, I think, over one Facebook talk show. Yeah. Okay. What about the paper on the crocodile, Mr. Crocodile? So any question on that?
I have another questions.
Good. Yeah, go.
All right. To Dr. Hannah, I have one question. Nowadays parents are so competitive in raising their kids, right? Sometimes they tend to compete anak siapa yang paling cepat belajar, paling cepat membaca. So when I heard that there's a research of wordless book is more effective, I just want to know your opinion. Doktor rasa kalau mana lagi lebih efektif, we ajar our kids untuk membaca ataupun we taught them membaca but using visual? I'm sorry if it's confusing, but I just want to know if it's wordless or with words, which one is more effective for kids?
Okay. Thank you so much for your question. It actually depends. On your kids. Alright. So, but tengok juga you punya kids age tu macam mana. So I'm doing this study because is untuk yang berumur 4 hingga 6 tahun actually. So this kind of kids actually bila I buat observation, even though they have been taught to read, okay, but most of them will read the illustration first. Okay, so it's actually the illustration tu yang lagi tarik dia orang untuk tahu lagi banyak tentang dia punya buku. Okay, kalau dekat tadika memang kita dah diajar untuk membaca. Okay, just that kita nak kena tahu dia punya apa orang kata minat dia punya interested towards ke mana. So this study ni I come up dengan this kind of book because I nak tahu dia orang tengok whether dia orang baca dulu ke dia orang tengok the illustration first. Okay, so most of them bila I buat study 4 hingga 6, most of them lah dia orang akan tengok illustration dulu. So kalau regarding you punya kids, you tengok dulu dia punya minat tu ke arah mana. Kalau dia are more towards membaca, memang kita kena ajar anak kita membaca, our children membaca. Sebabnya dia at the end of the day bila dah masuk primary school, our system is a bit different from overseas kan. So kita nak kena juga pandai membaca, dia orang kena pandai juga membaca. So along the way tu kita boleh tarik dia punya minat untuk tengok illustration and at the same time boleh juga assist dia orang untuk membaca. Dia macam tu. Okay, jangan just sekat dia orang untuk illustration saja dan sekat untuk text saja. Tapi bila you put the illustration and text both, dia orang akan lebih tengok ke illustration. Okay, most of the children yang 6 years and below. Okay, tu based on I punya observation lah. Okay. Menjawab tak soalan?
Jawab. Thank you.
Dr. Rohana,
Ya, saya.
would you agree if I say that the crocodile is almost a universal image of a popular animal amongst children with regard in comparison to maybe other animals, maybe in your own country, in Malaysia?
In Malaysia, not really. Not really. Actually, there are more. There are more animals that they're interested. For example, birds. It's not really crocodile pun sebenarnya. Okay, some of the children dia tak ada suka animal pun. Dia lagi suka the character of the cartoon. Let's say the character of the cartoon. So bila I bagi a few books for them, I choose this professional crocodile, and then the other one the book's name. I think that book is from Russia. That one is karakter yang bawa tram dekat dalam bandar. So ada juga children yang suka that kind of book because they love the journey and the character inside the book. Okay. Yeah. But most of children sukalah animal, tapi not necessarily buaya sahaja. Okay, ada yang suka birds. Most of them kalau yang jenis perempuan birds. Kalau yang lelaki-lelaki suka jenis ular-ular, like that. Ular-ular. Tapi tak ada yang spesifik sangatlah. Okay. Okay. Itu saya punya observation lah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Alright.
Thank you. Yes, kita ada lagi 2 paper yang belum diusik oleh tentang fotografi. Yang pertama tadi saudara Firdaus dan juga YouTube oleh siapa tadi saya lupa namanya, dari UUM. Kalau ada soalan silakan. Yep. Okey, kalau tak ada, saya nak mencuri peluang ini dengan izin pengerusi ataupun komiti yang menjaga sesi ini untuk membentangkan kertas kerja saya sebab saya tadi terlepas sesi saya A8. So I will do a quick one. So this is kind of a bonus for you lah.
Silakan Cik. Silakan.
Yeah. Silakan, terima kasih.
Yes, bonus untuk kami.
Bonus ada 6 paper yang semuanya, jadi harapnya tidak melanggar apa-apa peraturan. Okay, I was supposed to be in A8 and together with Dr. Jem and with your supervisor, Dr. Shahizan. So our paper is okay, hang on. What's happening now? Our paper is based on our research on film community in Malaysia. Yeah, so something is not working. Yeah. Right. Again, like many research, we are merely presenting preliminary findings, and we have chosen to talk about the history and contributions of Malaysian film community. There are apparently more than one, and we are glad to know that there are many active communities in this country right now as we speak, and some have started for quite some time, more than 20 years, and I shall highlight one community that I think pioneered the idea of a film club or film community, and then I would give two more examples. One from the East Coast, and another one from Borneo, from Sarawak. Okay, next. These are my colleagues. There are four of us, and I hope they're watching as well. Okay, we go to the what and why we do this research. There is an apparent perception that in FINAS, being the governing body of the film industry, is merely interested in making quote unquote profit, simply because film is a very expensive industry. There's a lot of investment that goes into it, and I think investors only want to ensure that their investment make reasonable returns. So, and hence, a lot of, I think, firms that come out from the industry have certain patterns that almost a copy of what we see in the West, especially, and maybe today what is produced in Korea. So because they think they seem to have found the proven recipe for making successful or commercially successful movies. So we end up, with many commercially successful movies, and that makes FINAS happy. But what we think is also equally important is about passion. Yes, filmmakers will talk about their passion making films, but I think there's a bigger scope for passion here that includes the audience as well. So there seems to be a doctrine that profit over passion rules at all time, but we beg to differ here in our research, and we think one of the so-called gap in that idea of profit over passion is the role of the audience. Yes, audience brings in the money, help to create box offices, but I think they have been neglected insofar as audience building capacity. What we mean by that is that audience can gain more for whatever 15 ringgit that they pay per view, so to speak, but they only get maybe half of that value of that 15 ringgit. That's, I think, the average fee, ticket cost, I think, in the theaters today. And the other half, the other 50% of that 15 ringgit should have been in the form, in our opinion, of some sort of incentive in the form of sort of education about film, about cinema, for the audience, for our audience, because we believe that if the audience is educated about cinema, they have informed judgment decisions whether they want to go to the cinema today, watch a particular film or not. That shows they have some basic information or some perception. It's not wrong to have perceptions about certain films, certain genre, or certain filmmakers. It is not wrong. It's only common and normal. And if they have informed judgment, evaluation, and that only comes through education, which I think we don't get after the end of a film in the mainstream, in the typical mainstream theaters. So this sort of responsibility, social responsibility, I think have now been carried out by film communities. So what film community do is to compensate that sort of loss, that another 50% from that 15 ringgit. So benefits to benefit the audience by having discussions and what we call, I think today, is film appreciation. What have we just watched? That is, I think, the key idea, the key question that maybe lingers in the minds of the audience if once they leave that dark room. But I think in a community, the film community, after screening, then we get entertained. We get to ask the question, what have we just watched? And could anyone with some fair knowledge help us, guide us through what we just saw? Why there are scenes like this, and why this or such movie has been made. This is why I think the role of film community, especially in the context of developing an audience with certain capacity towards gaining more knowledge and not just pure entertainment, is important. And to us, we find that film communities, they have been rhizomatic in their existence. So if you look at rhizomes, which refer to certain kind of growth on the floor of forests, for example, they are everywhere. They sprout and they move in all kinds of direction. But to say that film communities lack direction, that is quite wrong. They are rhizomatic in that they are not sort of organized, but they are networked with one another. So if you chop off a branch of a vegetation, it grows into and replaces itself into a new one, and it moves into a different direction, a kind of different direction, but always on the floor, at the base, on the margins of the structure. So the structure is finas. Finas has the hierarchy. Finas is at the top of a tree. On a leafy tree, I think, in terms of budget and in terms of vision and all that, the rhizomatic film communities, they are alongside and they surround this finas sort of tree structure, and they have more or less the same thing that finas wants, except that I think each time we have a new person at the top, then I think they change the goalposts as they like, you know. But I think there is a consistency in terms of the vision of film communities, in that, first of all, they want to show films. Secondly, they want to show films that we haven't been able to see, to enjoy. Thirdly, they want us to appreciate these films. And they provide the tools and the knowledge and the training, the explanation, which we don't get if we go to theaters these days. Okay, next. That is what and the why, more or less. And in terms of the literature review, film communities have been around, and in Europe, in Latin America, world over, India, in Southeast Asia, which is the closest to us, Singapore Film Society, and Indonesia. There are numerous film communities. And you just have to Google komunitas. Then you find hundreds of them, you know, in every district, in every region of this vast Indonesian archipelago. So even in Papua, you know, they have one in Aceh, they have in Papua, and of course in Java. And all this represent a sort of a vision that film is important for community, film is important to the society, and let's not wait for, you know, famous filmmakers or famous producers to make films. We can make our own films, you know, with the available technology. And a lot of these film communities, I think, especially in the West, we are yet to find out one in this country, because this is an ongoing research. A lot of, I think, film communities cater to marginal societies, marginal groups, such as war victims, the Palestinians, for example. We have had filmmakers coming to UKM, I think several years back, and showed us films about, you know, love story between a Palestinian and an Israeli, you know, and we had discussion with the director, which is what is a film community supposed to be good at and supposed to be doing. And we are grateful for that, you know, because we've had some connections with important, you know, cultural institutes like the Getty Institute or the British Council and so on and so forth. So we make use for that good relationship, and we bring in, you know, important films. So they come down as well to listen to our views. There are films about refugees. Maybe right now somebody somewhere, or you know, independent filmmaker making films about the Afghan women in the post-American eviction era. So refugees, or the Syrian refugees, and of course, under the banner of human rights, certainly the LGBTQ is not forgotten. So there is a global imaginary being manufactured and being discussed, appreciated through film communities all over the world. So we had to find something like that for Malaysia in the context of this country. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. As for the theoretical framework, we use rational choice theory, which is a straightforward theory, sociological theory about, you know, decision making, and why some individuals with certain desires and goals made certain decisions. And there are three or four assumptions. I've simplified them. And once you have made your decision, I want to be part of this, I want to pursue this, this is my mission in life, being a 20-year-old, or being a student, for example, then you find there are like-minded people around you, and hence there is a socialization of this common interest, where they recognize each other's common grounds, and they bond. They make their bonds, and they know that they can't do it alone. They're better in groups where the voice is stronger, and then they have strategies, and they become better informed, and this is, I think, what and how a society or community is formed, whatever the goal is. So it can be an economic goal, it can be a political goal, it can be a cultural goal, as in the case of film communities. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Imran. Can you hear me?
Wait, doctor.
Okay. Okay, next slide is on methodology, and we use virtual online focus group discussion, because we started it in the midst of COVID, and we can't go anywhere. So we sort of wasted about almost a good 1 year, almost a good 1 year, until the borders finally open, and still I think we trying to find time to do our groundwork. And we have content analysis. We go through social media, we go through maybe publications, literature reviews and all that. And we have managed to get to a sample of about 8 active communities, and we've made some progress there. We've had some interviews, online interviews, of course, with the leaders of these communities, or so-called leaders or representatives. And they're, I think, all over in that sense, but not representative of the communities in the whole country. But those who have responded, I think we are quite grateful. And next slide, please. I will present some of the findings. And the first one is Club Cinephilia Malaysia. This is almost the pioneering club, pioneering community in this country, started by Wong, and I think helmed still by Wong Tak Chong. And a community should ideally be run as like a business. So you have to think about cost-effective measures and all the time. In those days where we run film screening by VHS tapes, and when the technology is still on the VHS videos, not on CDs, and these days they're all digitalized, they have to rent, and they rent out from as far as the UK, and they had to pay a lot of costs until Mr. Wong become involved in networking with maybe Singapore. What's that?
Excuse me, doctor.
Yeah.
I think we have only 1 minute left.
Okay. Anyway, I'll finish now. So they have to find measures, and one important lesson from Wong Tak Chong's work, or the KL, the Club Cinefilm, is that you must collaborate and must find ways, work with embassies to bring in all the international movies. So there may be censorships, but through the embassies we can beat the system. And collaborations should, I think, continue maybe into the rural areas where communities, you need to use proper community approach. Say in Terengganu, you need to be aware of the do's and don'ts.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the main room, and hope you enjoyed all the sessions in the second parallel